非常欢迎现场所有的贵宾还有媒体朋友来参加今天2020新能源与循环经济创新技术研讨会。我们在3分钟，预计在9点40分要开始今天的活动。Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The phone will start in 3 minutes. Please have a seat and change your mobile phone into silent. Thank you for your cooperation. 也请大家把手机改成震动，谢谢。那另外呢，因为防疫的关系，请大家全程戴口罩。同时，今天主办单位有特别准备线上直播，让有很多无法到现场来的朋友也能够参与今天的活动。For combating COVID-19, all of the people have to wear masks all the time, and also provide live stream channel to people who are interested to join the conference.2020新能源与循环经济创新技术国际研讨会正式开始。再次的欢迎现场所有的贵宾来参加今天的活动。那今天有相当多与会的贵宾，让我赶紧的跟各位一一介绍。Welcome to 2020 International Conference for New Energy and a Secure Economy. We have many special guests here. We sincerely appreciate your attendance and the support for the conference today.Let me introduce the guests today for you. 首先跟各位介绍的是主办单位 中华新能源科技学会的理事长，欢迎王宏博理事长。The Chairman of Innovative Energy Technology Association。另外，欢迎来自于荷兰在台办事处的2位代表。第一位，我们先欢迎的是谭定南代表 ，Representative of Netherlands Office Taipei, Mr. Gaidio。Thank you。另外这一位呢是荷兰在台办事处的副代表，我们欢迎 Mr. René, Deputy Representative Netherlands Office Taipei， 欢迎。这里有相当多的教授来到现场，再来要欢迎到的是张家洲教授，来自于东海大学 ，Professor 东海 University 张家洲教授，欢迎。来自于我们中兴大学化工系的教授郭文生郭教授 ，Professor 郭文生，中兴 University。另外欢迎到的是行政院环保署废弃物管理处的技士，欢迎吴建章技士，也帮我挥个手好吗？在场外哈这一位是我们的 Environmental Protection Administration Department of Waste Management。好，再来欢迎到的是 Penaltech 美商，是我们 Mr. Jackson 周，欢迎您，也帮我们挥个手，欢迎。好，再来这一位是我们台湾中油绿能研究所的副所长，我们欢迎 Green Technology Research Institute CPC Corporation Taiwan， 欢迎。还要欢迎到的是捷鼎科技股份有限公司的杜文强执行长 ，Advanced High Tech and Science Research Company Live Taiwan 杜文强执行长。另外呢，也是我们美商 Penaltech， 第一位呢是我们的蔡俊国执行长，欢迎。也是我们的 Penaltech 美商，这位是我们 Vice Chairman 张顾问 Mr. Andy， 欢迎。好，接下来我们就要邀请中华新能源科技学会的理事长，我们请王宏博理事长到台上为大家致辞，欢迎。
各位大家早安请容许我等一下用英文做致辞先感谢大家能够来参加这个研讨会那我们就是跟 Penaltech US 合办的一个研讨会希望能够带动国内的一些包括循环经济跟新能源的一些研究成果以及商业化的一些通路。那我请容许我用英文跟各位做致辞，因为我们还有一些非本国人在这里Good morning, everyone. I'm more than delighted to invite everyone to participate in 2020 Fourth International Conference for New Energy and the Circular Economy, co-hosted by IETA, Innovative Energy Technology Association, and the Penaltech US, so that we can gather and discuss cutting-edge technology for circular economy and energy to prepare Taiwan for sustainable development in the future. I am deeply moved by everyone's involvement and the participation. Sustainable development include 3 focus areas: social justice, economic development, and environmental protection. This topic requires people of all age, professionals, and the group to initiate a discussion together so that we can reach a common goal to work towards. In recent years, the effect of climate change has grown significant, and we are in an era full of multiple challenges to simultaneously address economic development and environmental protection has become important topics. As such, sustainable development is now a global agreement. Renewable energy corresponding to UN Sustainable Development Goal (SDG 7), while circular economy corresponding to SDG 12, highlighting the importance of the mission of the conference. For our first international conference, it's my honor to introduce our special guest, Mr. Tillman and Mr. Bill Booth, representing the New Zealand office in Taipei. Mr. Chen Li, Deputy Director General from Ministry of Economic Affairs in Taiwan. Dr. Morris Liang from the Industrial Technology Research Institute, as well as industrial partners such as Taiwan Power Company, CPC Corporation Taiwan, and the China Steel Company, CSC, Corp, Xishan Advanced High Tech, and the Science Tech Research Corporation, etc. It is my privilege to invite academia leaders from institute, including Tom Johnson's University, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA, National Cheng Kung University, National Central University, National Zhongxin University, Donghai University, Yanzhi University, and Mr. Zhang Ashe, Management Director from 350 Environmental Organization. By gathering partners and experts from the industry, government, and the policymakers, as well from academia and the environmental NGOs, we hope to provide you with an exciting platform to exchange technically, incubate ideas, and create new opportunities for the future. I want to especially express my gratitude toward Taiwan Power Company, GTRI, CHC, and CPC Corporation Taiwan for their support in making this conference happen. But last but not least, I want to sincerely thank each and every one of you for attending the conference. I hope you all have a great time and find the conference productive. Thank you and enjoy.
非常谢谢中华新能源科技协会的理事长王宏博理事长 ，Thank you, Mr. Paul. Please have seat. 好，刚才还有很多位贵宾来到现场，我跟各位补充介绍一下。Let me introduce the guest today. 我们欢迎 Professor 林坤松教授，来自于元智大学，帮我挥个手好吗？欢迎 ，Thank you. Next, welcome to the representative of the Netherlands Office Taipei of Mr. Gaidio. 我们请荷兰在台办事处的谭静南代表也上台为我们致辞。Give an welcome remark. Thank you. 今天荷兰在台办事处呢，有来到了2位代表这一次呢，也都来共襄盛举，参加今天的研讨会。
People, everybody present here, thank you very much for inviting me. 我的名字叫做谭金南，我是荷兰在台北办事处的代表。恐怕我的中文现在还没有达到一个可以用中文来致辞的程度，所以希望大家可以谅解，我还是用英文来讲吧。不好意思。I am really happy to be back at the National Taiwan University, the university where I studied myself a long time ago, 30 years ago. I already was at the Taida 1991, and I think in those days the Gongguan Xiaoyuan was actually being established. I was at the Political Science Department at Hangzhou, Xuzhou, and this was an entirely new Xiaoyuan in those days. I've been back now for less than half a year, and one of the things that I noticed upon my return is that Taiwan has, as a whole, but Taipei as a city in particular, have made giant strides in terms of dealing with environmental issues. For instance, in the beginning of the 90s, as I just mentioned, when I lived and I worked here, I rode a motor scooter, like almost everybody else in those days. And whenever I would get home in the evening and whenever I would wipe my forehead with a piece of cloth, then that piece of cloth would be entirely black because of the exhaust fumes, because of the soot. Now, compared to the beginning of the 90s, Taipei's air is extremely clear and pure, which I guess to a large extent is due to the excellent public transport network, the MRT, that has been developed since. But in general, it has struck me that the cleanliness and the livability of Taipei city has increased enormously since the beginning of the 90s. Another example here. I once took a taxi, and a taxi driver told me that when the Da'an Park was opened, also in the beginning of the 90s, it was ridiculed by many. There was a lot of criticism on the Da'an Park in the press, the public debate, and so forth. And the reason was that in the beginning, and I still remember it myself, Da'an Park didn't really look very attractive. It was just a field, a few trees, some shrubbery, and generally it lacked the atmosphere of a park. But then that's how a park starts. Another way to establish a park from the beginning is not conceivable. And lo and behold, nowadays, the Da'an Park has turned into the throbbing heart, or rather the green lungs of the Da'an district. So I would like to compliment the policymakers in those days, but also the policymakers here and now for their foresight. And I would also like to compliment all of the people who have been working so hard to make Taipei City a more livable city with a good quality of life. The examples I just gave reflect, I think, the shift in our thinking over the past 20, 30 years. Climate change and depletion of the Earth's finite resources are now on the top of our agenda. And this is indeed an important shift in our thinking. It seems that climate change has been at the forefront of our concerns, and rightly so, because in terms of climate change, the warming up of the Earth, we are slowly but surely and worryingly moving to a point of no return. The focus on circularity, however, in the context of resource depletion seems to be of a more recent date. Only for the, let's say, last 5 years is circularity, which is the theme of today's event, has been at the forefront of our thinking. Having said that, if you remember, in the 18th century, there was this cleric, scholar, economist called Thomas Malthus. Also more recently in the 70s, if some of you remember, we had a so-called Club of Rome, and both Malthus and the Club of Rome addressed the issue of depletion of limited resources as a result of population growth, and they were looking at the possibility of exhausting or depleting our fuel and our food. Be that as it may, in contrast to climate change, I think we are still in the beginning stages of conceptualizing and developing a comprehensive policy framework for circularity. For example, what we need to develop is an internationally accepted definition of circularity. How do we define circularity? We need also to have commonly accepted definitions of what are raw materials, what are byproducts, what are half fabricates, and what are end products. We need to have an answer to the question how we deal with the concept of integrated life cycle of products. And lastly, how do we benchmark circularity in order for us to be able to set realistic and also ultimately enforceable goals? So all of that thinking work, that conceptualization work, we still need to do. And only once we have established a common framework of reference, the real hard work starts, and we need to translate this policy or this framework of reference into a policy framework that is internationally endorsed, enforced, and also institutionally supported. If we compare that to what we have in climate change already at this point in time, for example, we need to start working on a Rio, Kyoto, and Paris agreement for circularity. We possibly also need to think about a credit system for circularity comparable to the European ETS, emission trading system for CO2. We may need to think about having something like that. We may even need to think about circularity taxes, like the CO2 border tax that is currently being considered by the EU. Now, I know that the CO2 border tax in the Taiwanese context is something quite controversial, but we need to advance our thinking. In short, enough food for thought, and therefore I think it's timely that a conference like this is organized at a revered place of learning, such as the NTU, organized by important Taiwanese stakeholders. Now, if I look at the Netherlands and Taiwan, we are both keenly like-minded when it comes down to circularity. There have been various exchanges back and forth between Taiwan and the Netherlands before COVID broke out. I'm sure that you still remember the world when there was no COVID. 3 years ago, the former Minister of the Environmental Protection Agency, Mr. Li Yingyuan, and Director General Lai Lingying visited the Netherlands. Madam Lai Yingying is of the Department of Waste Management, and they went to the Netherlands to look at various what we call best practices in the field of circularity. Also, Mayor Ko Wen-je of Taipei City went to the Netherlands quite often. I think about 1 or 2 years ago, he visited the city of Amsterdam, the city of Almere. He also looked at various demonstration projects and best practices in the field of circularity. And if you look at Mayor Ke's 循环经济白皮书 1.0, 2.0, you will see that the Netherlands is referenced quite often as a best practice country, of which we, of course, are very proud. Also, at the level of my office, we try to put our money where our mouth is when it comes down to circularity. Last year, my office, and under my predecessor, launched our own white paper on opportunities for Dutch companies to be involved in circular construction here in Taiwan. And in that same year, last year, my office built the first 100% circular building, which was our national pavilion at the Taichung Flora Expo. Almost 3.5 million Taiwanese people visited the Taichung Flora Expo. The exhibition ended last April, and all the building materials for that pavilion are still intact and are currently being reused by Thai Sugar at their plant in Yuemei. So this is a very good example of what we try to do ourselves in terms of circularity. So on that note, I will cede the floor gladly to the next speaker. Later on, my colleague, Deputy Representative René Berenpoot, who is also the head of the economic department of our office, will talk a little bit more about the Dutch government's strategy to encourage innovation among startups and companies to move towards a circular economy. Lastly, I would like to wish all of you a successful event and fruitful discussions. Thank you so much.
非常谢谢荷兰在台办事处的谭金南代表，谢谢。Thank you, Mr. Gadio. Please have a seat. 再来跟各位介绍这位来宾，我们是不是请您就先入座？这位是我们奇汉科技工程有限公司的高金磊总经理，欢迎您。General Manager 奇汉 Technology Company Limited Taiwan。好，另外呢，今天也有相当多的贵宾，但是呢，可能没办法到现场，所以我们要透过这个 video 的方式来，也请他们来跟大家说几句话。We invited some honorable guests today, but they cannot attend the conference. They will give us a remark through the video. 我们要欢迎到的就是美国市议员 Mr. Barry Chen. Welcome the Cupertino City Council member Mr. Barry Chen through the video. It's not working, right? Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Paneltech and Chengkong University event. My name is Barry Chen. I'm the former mayor of city of Cupertino, where Apple headquarters is located. And as you probably already know, Apple is one of the largest corporations in the world, and I have a very good working relationship with them. And I'm glad to talk about the recycle economy. This is the future for the world because we know the climate change is already on the way, and we have to do something about it. And this cannot be done by individual city, individual state, or individual country. You have to work together around the world. So this is really the right direction to go. And I'm very glad to help because I can help bring the high-tech industry in Silicon Valley to come in, and with the local government, state government, and federal government, and also around the world. So this is the way to go. And I have the experience. I held a G50 Global Smart City event back in 2016, and Hyperloop CEO is one of the keynote speakers. And I have, as I say earlier, I have a working very good working relationship with the high-tech industry. And also we need to work together. The United States cannot do it by itself. It has to work around with other countries. So there's many things we can do, and then there's many business opportunities out there. And this is a great event to get it going. Thank you and enjoy.
谢谢我们的美国市议员 Mr. Barry Chen。还有第二段影片他是印尼政府教育部创新小组的召集人 Dr. Aditya. Welcome the Ministry of Education and Culture Innovation Acceleration Team. 这位是我们的 Aditya 教授。
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ahmad Aditya. I'm a coordinator of the Indonesian Innovation Acceleration Teams. This team has been established by the Ministry of Education and Culture in Indonesia. As you know, right now, Indonesia has very much concerns about building a circular economy because we believe that circular economy is one of the methodology to improve the economic and the livelihood of Indonesian society right now. The Ministry of Education and Culture realized the potential to build collaborations to enhance our circular economy agenda. On 3rd of November, the Ministry of Education and Culture has initiated an online platform called Kedai Reka. This online platform of Kedai Reka is inviting collaborations between the Indonesian scholars and Indonesian industry with the industry and scholars from abroad, including in Taiwan. So we are inviting people from Taiwan, the industry and the scholars to join hand in hand with Indonesia to collaborate and create stronger partnership in circular economy. Thank you very much for the opportunity and looking forward for further collaborations between Indonesia and Taiwan in the future. Thank you.
谢谢印尼的阿迪利亚教授。好，今天我们舞台上面最后呢，要请今天的与会贵宾一起来合照。我们是不是请所有的前2排的贵宾都到台上来合影 ？Welcome all the guests on the stage. We will take a group picture. 我们再次请到我们的理事长，还有我们的 Mr. Gaidio、Mr. Rene， 还有我们的很多位的教授，包括张家洲教授、郭文生教授，还有我们行政院环保署废弃物管理处的吴建章技士。还有 Mr. Jackson Zhou， 以及我们的林坤松教授，还有我们台湾中油的李秋平副所长，也麻烦您。杜文强执行长 ，Panel Tech 包括我们蔡俊国执行长以及 Mr. Andy 我们的张顾问。我们是不是请 Mr. Paul 站在最中间？好，帮忙引导，可能要站2排吧，会不会因为人数比较多？1排可以，好，请边请。光线会不会太弱？光线可以吗 ？Yeah, for the COVID-19, how about take off your mask and keep silent, please? 因为我们要拍好看的照片，所以口罩可能要先拿下来。不过有请来宾们，可能我们暂时就先不要讲话。Take the mask and keep silence now, please. Look at camera. 好，我们请理事长跟我们的副代表拿一下我们环保的算是我们的意向哦。这全世界联合国组织提供给大家，包括有很多个不同的环保的意向，请看前面的镜头。谢谢大家。这是第一张照片 ，and we will have another picture. Please, all the guests on the stage. Sorry, please, all the guests on the seat. 我们请他先入座，我们请摄影师到台上。 不好意思因为防疫的关系，可能我们会比较没有那么多的口号啦，或者是动作哈。好，我们请摄影师在台上 ，Please on the seat, we will take another group picture. 那我们也请现场所有的贵宾看到台上的摄影师。Yes. 好，谢谢大家。我们现在时间是10点大概7分，我们还是按照表定时间10点10分，大概3到5分钟之后，我们马上进行第2个阶段。好，那我们就请大家稍微休息一下。10点10分，我们会进行第1阶段的研讨会。The next session will start at 10:10 a.m.猪，对不起。 好，我们要邀请所有的贵宾，请大家都准备入座。刚才我们第一阶段呢，稍微有点 delay 到时间哈，所以 coffee time 会稍微有点浓缩。我们要马上进行第一阶段的研讨会，是不是我们请工作人员帮我们引导一下，在场外的贵宾都回到场区来入座。The first section will hold in 2 minutes. 而接下来第一阶段的研讨会呢，我们要交给东海大学的张家修教授。那第一段研讨会预计会进行到中午的时间。再稍等一下，外面还有很多的这个参与者呢，可能还在准备一下。今天我们第一场的主题是循环经济创新发展技术与策略。The first session is titled as Circular Economy, Innovative Development, Technology and Strategy. 我们要欢迎到的是主持人张家修教授 ，Welcome the moderator of the first section. 欢迎张家修教授，这个阶段就交给您了，欢迎您。
Thank you， 谢谢。我是用英文还是中文？英文都 OK。英文好 OK。Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this the first section of this conference. So entitled Circular Economy, Innovative Technology Development and Strategy. So we have 5 speakers in this section, and including myself. So I'd like to introduce the first speaker of this section, Mr. Rene Redeput from the Dutch office in Taiwan, and he's going to present introduce the circular economy status in the Dutch way. So let's put our hand together. Welcome, Rene. Thank you.
the pointer. Thank you. Good morning to everyone. My name is René Beerpoot. I work at the Netherlands office Taipei, and it's a very big privilege to be here and share with you our thoughts on circular economy, especially our developments and strategy and policies which have been adopted in the Netherlands over the last 10 years, I would say. So please bear with me with this presentation. Yeah, the Netherlands, in order to preserve our prosperity, protect the environment, and counter climate change, things need to change. At the same time, we need to stay competitive as an economy, but we need to reduce the burden on people and planet, as well as our dependence on raw materials, which are really scarce. And we think that the transition to a circular economy offers opportunity to achieve those goals. In a fully circular economy, there's no waste. Raw materials are used and reused in an efficient cycle. You could say that circular economy is a systemic change. It needs change on all fronts. It's about another way of designing, another way of producing, using products, and dealing with waste differently. It affects all parts of the value chain. And therefore, I've highlighted some of these key parts which are affected by our policies. It's about the food and biomass, plastics, manufacturing, construction, and consumer goods. These things are all around us and have a big impact on circular economy and getting it right. Before I go into more detail, I would elaborate a little bit further on the differences and the similarities between Taiwan and the Netherlands. As you see in this slide, we are quite similar in terms of size, population, density. We are both democracies, and we're also both international competitive economies who need to compete, but still have take heed to values like protecting the environment. So there's a lot of similarities, and I hope this presentation will also inspire you to take the same road we are taking on circular economy. What do we want to achieve? We are quite ambitious. We want to achieve a circular economy by 2050. And already in 2030, we want to have a reduction in place of 50%. That's a major reduction, and that doesn't happen overnight. As I mentioned earlier, these 5 focal areas, like plastics, manufacturing, construction, and consumer goods, they need to change first in order to get on this path to create momentum, because these kind of changes also need social support. You cannot do it by yourself as a government. So it's all about working together with other stakeholders. But it's quite easy, if you think of it, to convince others to join you. If you look at these results from reports and studies, it really was an eye-catcher for me at the time, an eye-opener, I must say, how much of energy is wasted in all our products if we don't use them. Especially now with COVID, all these big offices are completely vacant. That's for another good reason, but still, you can see on this slide, 60% of the time offices are empty, and we don't use our cars 24/7. So ideas of sharing cars or other kinds of barter economy concepts could be a big change in countering the waste of materials. So this is one of the reasons we want to explore circular economy. And this research has been done and conducted by TNO in the Netherlands to see what kind of quick wins we can achieve by 2023 if we follow this path. And you see, we can have big savings on raw materials, and it will also create new jobs, because it's a very difficult to get this circular economy going. It needs a lot of technology, and I'll come to that a little bit later. But like I mentioned earlier, the ambition of the government is to have a circular economy in 2050. That's less than 30 years from now. Given the current situation, we only have a limited part achieved so far. So more interventions for transition to the circular economy are needed. And we need that with the help of the Dutch government, local authorities, but also knowledge institutes and companies. And this slide shows the focal areas where we want to change the value chain, and what is needed to get there, because there are quite some obstacles in our way. It's about changing the economic structure. That is very difficult. So you really have to look at technology, social and system innovations. It is about changing how we think, changing how we believe and how we consume. Then more sufficient resources will be available to have a circular economy. And if we have the policy in place, we of course need to scale up. Like I mentioned earlier, in the Netherlands we are now on this pathway, but I do hope that Taiwan and other countries will follow suit and team up and scale up. Because it's not up to us, it's up to all of us to really come to a new circular economy. And it's by definition an international affair, as all economies are nowadays intertwined and highly dependent on international streams of raw materials. And international cooperation is also necessary to close loops in the supply chain. We are dependent for semiconductors from Taiwan, but for other elements we are dependent on other countries. We need to have them all willing to cooperate in this effort. In that way, we can have a level playing field, because if we are doing it and others won't, then nothing will change fundamentally. And it's really needed to have everyone's attention to prevent evasive behavior, and also to make sure that there is enough supply security. So in a way, this is our Dutch approach. We highlight collaborative programs of public, private and knowledge institutes to encourage this new circular economy framework. But regulations, and that's my department in a way, they are still too much focused from the 1980s that we are countering damaging effects of pollution and waste, and it's too little focused on reutilizing materials. So that also requires a different mindset. Also, external effects are not internalized yet in the prices of all kind of consumer goods, in services which are delivered. So that also needs to be addressed. As well as we are here at the university, we need to have more knowledge exchange on innovation, about how we gonna change the technology, how we're gonna change the whole system. And that needs focused R&D. And all these things together will get you nowhere if it stays like that. At that point, we need companies, and I've mentioned here Dutch companies, but worldwide, companies are the vehicle for making this change happening, because they can really create the momentum, come up with new products and services which have this innovative entrepreneurship encapsulated. So, what is our Dutch government approach? We really embrace we call it the triple helix. That's about those public-private partnership, which I mentioned earlier. It's the cooperation between government, companies, and knowledge institutes, like 3 actors, which are really important. And actually, I forgot another one, which are societal organizations. They are also very leading the agenda. And this cooperation, that's really our secret weapon to get there and to have a circular economy by 2050. But still, we need also our traditional instruments like regulations. There we need to change them. And as a government, we also have subsidies and other incentives we need to provide to the companies, to knowledge institutes, to make sure that they work together, that they innovate and come up with new concepts which benefit us all. And the Netherlands has vouchers and subsidies for domestic use, but we also think we have to tap the international market. So we also have international subsidies, which are also in use in Taiwan, for example. And the last solution we have is the so-called Green Deal approach. Taiwan also has adopted this idea, and I will come to that a little bit later. And that's really it really encapsulates the triple helix thought, as it's as it's really about working bottom up, government, company, organizations together to really address key issues and to come up with a sustainable plan which saves raw materials in a very smart way. Just some more details on our subsidies. Of course, it needs to be innovative. It needs to be out of the box. But this is quite a successful instrument, which really is about making sure that seeing is believing, as the saying goes. And we've put our money where our mouth is, by subsidizing companies which have circular economy, international business concepts. And these subsidies really help others to be convinced of their rationale. So we think this really adds value in getting to a more circular economy. Yeah, what's these green deals? Green deals, you see a lot of people. It's a big hit in the Netherlands. We have achieved over 200 green deals so far, and they range from cooperation in the denim value chain to mobility solutions. They really identify and tackle bottlenecks in terms of waste of resources, and come up with supported solutions by all actors, which really make the difference. Over here, you can see a few of them who are very happy with these green deals. So, like I said, eventually it's about the companies who really need to invest in the economy, in the circular economy, because it's a sound business case and because it really helps our society to that next step. But it needs, of course, financing. So we had the subsidies from the Dutch government. We had the Green Deal, because that also involves money, but it's more about the cooperation, making sure that people work together. Then the government actually puts a lot of money into it. But also Dutch banks like Rabobank are also very busy with issuing green bonds to also make sure that these companies have the funds to achieve these plans. And also the Dutch government have startup funds for small companies to go on this road and make sure that they realize their dreams. But once again, it's all about also R&D. More innovation and more research is needed to get to these new concepts. And these are a few names of very established and very high-ranked universities which have taken a lot of effort in research in these fields. And companies also work together. There's an exchange of employees and universities to make sure that it's well rooted. Of course, I'm here in Taiwan and I'm discussing our Dutch approach on circular economy. It is vital, given that we live in a global age, that we also promote this private-public approach to dealing with circular economy issues. And the Holland Securial Hotspot is this public-private platform that wants to promote its experiences, its knowledge, and it tries to make sure that also internationally companies, knowledge institutes collaborate together in this field. And it actually aims to be a kind of a living lab. So it is continuously developing and sharing solutions for a better circular economy and thus countering all the effects of climate change we are facing nowadays. I want to finish my presentation with giving you just some examples which make it maybe a bit more clear what we are talking about and what really can be done. Once again, this is about companies, but it is a joint effort. It is Dutch government, it is knowledge institutes, and it is these companies. But for example, Fairphone, which is actually present in Taiwan with manufacturing capabilities, they have recently won. They were selected by Time Magazine as one of the best inventions of 2020. And they have prepared a modular smartphone which can be reused over and over and can be deconstructed by a simple screwdriver. It's amazing. I have to hurry up. Ionica, another Taiwanese-based Dutch company, they have created a procedure to upcycle all sorts of PET plastics, like Coca-Cola bottles, into pure, raw, transparent materials for reuse, so they can take out the color. The ocean cleanup, maybe you are aware of that initiative. It's headed by a Dutchman who has come up with this technology to extract plastic pollution out of the ocean. Madaster, this is the final one I would like to share with you, is also active in Taiwan, and they have come up with a kind of platform. It's a kind of passport of raw materials. You can really have a building with a passport, and Madaster offers you that capability to put that in a reality. So on this note, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I hope you enjoy the remainder of your conference. Thank you.
So because we have a discussion section after all the talks, so we don't allow the questions to save the time. So so for the second second presentation in this section will be performed by myself. So okay, thank you. So I'm Joshua Chen from Donghai University, and formerly I was in National Cheng Kung University. So today, I'd like to present, actually it's not a huge, a complete infrastructure of this circular economy. It's only a small element of this circular economy. So I try to introduce some more or less the technology part, and most of the using biotechnology. So this circular economy will be based on the platform of microalgae as a key component to realize the circular economy, and also with the in addition to that, we have a wastewater treatment as a resources that can make it happen. Okay. So biorefinery is based on the petrol refinery. You normally right now with most of our chemicals and other materials and of fuels are produced from petroleum, and we have by using a petrochemical refinery, you can produce all kind of the products we need for our daily life, including the fuels and the chemicals and other things. But because of the climate change issues, we need to develop some alternative resources that can replace heavily carbon emission petroleum refinery. So one of the possible alternative is from biomass, is in particular the microalgae. So microalgae actually is a very good microorganism that can capture carbon dioxide, and also by utilizing the solar energy. And after the growth of the microalgae, you can see there's a lot of component that which is very useful, and then are comparative to what kind of we can see from petroleum. So actually, you can see we have produced oil from the microalgal biomass, and you can produce all kind of fuels and also some health supplement, DHA, EPA. And in microalgae, we also contain a lot of sugar and carbohydrates that it can produce, used as the carbon source for fermentation, and also the pigments, which is the very, valuable health food for humans. And also the proteins that produced in the microalgae usually has a high content of more than 50 to 60% of the total biomass. And so usually the algae can be used for the feed of the food for human or for animals. So this is the comparison between the petroleum and the microalgae refinery. So you may know that the microalgae also have other applications, like including the CO2 fixation, pollutant control, biofuels, fertilizers, pharmaceuticals, all kind of also health food, feed and food, cosmetic product, and the biorefinery resources. Now today I'd like to focus on some part of it, especially the carbon fixation and aquaculture feed, and also so this is the our ongoing research related to the industry. We produce all kind of functional component from algae, including the people knows there's some pigments, lutein, astaxanthin, and also some highly unsaturated fatty acid like DHA, EPA. They are very valuable products for health food, and we incorporate with some companies in Taiwan, and also we also in collaboration with the CPC and also China Steel to trying to capture CO2 and then convert it to biomass of the algae, and then finally we can generate fuels from this biomass. And the third one is this will be my focus today, is trying to use microalgae to treat the wastewater, and then to generate a circular economy model, and I'll show you later with the third one. Okay, so the first slide will be the key players. Actually, we need to have a lot of algae, which is has a very high, robustity, and also can grow in under very extreme conditions that you can produce that for example, in wastewater, to capture the flue gas from the factories, and so they can produce all kind of biomass that for further uses. So, so this is a project that we started from since 2018, and now this is last year, 2020. So it's 12 years. At about it's 2008, 2008 and 2020. So this is 12 years project. It's actually you're trying to convert algae from CO2. The CO2 is generated from the flue gas in the factory, and then we're trying to create very strong, very efficient microalgae biomass by using mutations, and then we grow it in a very large scale, and then we extract this usable component from the biomass, and then we produce the products, including the health food and biodiesel, which is the fuel, and also alcohols and chemicals, and also animal feed, aquaculture feed, as well as the pigments for health food. So this is the whole picture of this 12 years project. In the first one is a strength improvement. Actually, this is very important because we need to grow algae in the outdoors or under the factory environment. So that means you need the algae need to sustain the very difficult conditions in the outdoor situation. So we need to improve it usually by chemical or UV mutagenesis. And then if you want to produce some specific functional compound, or you want to enhance the fuel component in the microalgae, then you need to do the genetic engineering or metabolic engineering, or recently very popular synthetic biology. So you can apply molecular biology approaches to improve the strength and to create the function that you want it to happen. So this is, I don't have time for the details. And for large scale production, this is very important for the business applications. So you can grow it in indoors, like using LED as a light source, or you can grow it outdoors like this, and you can have tubular photobioreactors. This photo were taken in NCKU, National Cheng-Kung University's campus. And then we also can generate this kind of raceway that make the algae circulated in this kind of cultivation systems. Or this is what we have in NCKU campus. The largest one is 300-ton open pond. This all kind of facilities are used for different the growth or cultivation of different microalgae. So this is what it looks like when you grow it in a 300-ton open pond. So actually the dimension, diameter is about 30 meters. So it's like a swimming pool. And this is what you see here. The algae is lutein algae, 叶黄素 algae. So 叶黄素的藻. So it can produce like 1 ton dry algal biomass per month. And in this kind of algae contain about 1% of lutein. So 1% lutein, and then the lutein price in the market will be 70,000 Taiwan dollar per kilo. So you can calculate how much amount you can make in 1 month by calculate 1.5 times 0.001 times 70,000. So this is what you can make from this kind of cultivation system. Okay, and then we also recently we built a huge algae cultivation system in a swine farm, pig farm in Pingdong. This is called Central Farm, 中央畜牧场. And they have 20,000 pigs. They're growing 20,000 pigs, and their wastewater goes to this anaerobic digester. And after that, the effluent still contains huge amount of nitrogen and phosphate, and also some COD. And then we introduce this effluent into into algae cultivation system. This is about 2,000 cubic meter capacity. So this is full scale, so that you can treat the daily wastewater from this farm. And we also need to, after we grow a huge amount of algae, we need to harvest. This is very difficult for algae because algae is suspended in the water, and then you need to collect it, harvest it by usually using centrifugation or filtration. And also after that, you need to break down the cell wall and connect it, and remove the watering, and then you need to remove disrupt the cell wall because the cell wall of the algae is very rigid, so very difficult to break. And also you need to extract the component from the algae. And what we used was liquid propane extraction system. This is especially for non-polar, component like oil. And then we think we can do this by using a concept of CO2 reutilization. You can see here, this is our concept. So you have a lot of CO2 from flue gas. Actually, flue gas contain the CO2 concentration is nearly 5 to 20%, which is much higher than the CO2 in the air. And the CO2 content in the air is only 0.03 to 0.04%. So it's a huge amount of enriched CO2 in the flue gas. We can grow algae with this kind of resources. And then we have plenty of sunlight in Taiwan, so there's no problem with the solar energy. And then for the water side, we need a lot of water for algae cultivation. And actually, we can use wastewater, which contain some nutrients in the form of ammonia or phosphate. So this is free. Hopefully, this is free, and this is free, and also the sunlight is free. And then we can generate money. That's our and also generate oxygen to improve the water air quality. So this is a very simple concept, but not that easy because although this is free, and this is free, but actually we need to. This is very expensive, so we need to grow it and then harvest it. So this is we need to have some technology limitations that we need to overcome. And after that, finally, hopefully, we can produce all kinds of products like this: cosmetic products, chemicals, fuels, feed, and health food, etc. So this is the real case. We did it in China Steel Corporation. So we introduced the flue gas from this factory to the microalgae photobioreactors, and can grow algae with directly from the flue gas. This is the performance of the flue gas capture, CO2 capture. Actually, we can remove significant amount of CO2 and also NOx and SOx. And then we do the automation system to make it easier to operate by controlling the turbidity and pH. So we don't have too much time for. 所以我到几点？3分钟。3 minutes. Okay. Okay, and then I will skip this. This is biofuel production from algae. Actually, we can see a lot of algae contain huge amount of oil. This part, so 50% oil here, and this kind of algae contains 60 to 70%. So this actually microalgae is a very good resources for oil production. And but the way to produce biodiesel from algae is very difficult. We need to break down the cell wall. We need to do the transintrification. We need to phase separation, and then we receive the biodiesel. And then actually, it's very costly. Okay, skip this. Okay, and then I want to go through the wastewater treatment. So the wastewater treatment, actually, if people start to realize microalgae can help the wastewater treatment since about the year of 2018. So you can see that this is 2018. This is a pattern that associated with algae, and then most of the increase are contributed by the wastewater treatment. So this is a very popular topic. And you can see the wastewater treatment market is huge. So now in 2020, it's about $625 billion US. So actually, soil wastewater is contain a lot of nutrients that can be used to grow algae. So we use this, but the problem is, in the wastewater, it contains all kinds of bacteria that can compete with the algae for the growth. But we found that actually some of the bacteria can have the synergetic effect to algae. So in the presence of some bacteria, algae can grow faster. This is with the bacteria, this is without the bacteria. So it can have better growth. So this is very encouraging. Because of this, we try to use the bacteria and algae consortia for the wastewater treatment. So this is the company we just established about 6 months ago to try to produce algae bacteria consortia for wastewater treatment. And this is, I don't have time for details, so this is for petrochemical wastewater treatment. And this is for catalyst wastewater, already in the on-site treatment. This is the electroplating wastewater. And this is wastewater with very high ammonia nitrogen. We can have very good performance. And also we have soil wastewater is the best one. We can reduce a lot of COD, and the nitrogen, the phosphate removal is more than 90%. And so we try to create a circular economy model that by growing the peaks, we generate a lot. The wastewater generate a lot of methane, and we can do the electricity generation. And after that, the effluent of the wastewater treatment effluent goes to algae and grow it, and then we can produce the fertilizer and the supplements for the aquaculture or fertilizer for the crop. We can see this is the real picture of it. So we can grow very good melon from the fertilizer generated from algae. Okay, and then tomato. And finally, we can grow shrimp. This is this is all kind of functional algae produced from our lab for the shrimp cultivation. So this is the product we produce. We do also use the IoT, AIoT monitoring system. And this is another one. Okay, so finally, we can get the shrimp. Okay, the conclusion. So actually, microalgae actually serve as ideal platform for circular economy because they can circulate the carbon and as well as the water. And also carbon dioxide capture and from flue gas and nutrient removal from wastewater are very good resources for circular economy. And also the product produced will be depending on the source of algae and also the cost. So the cost for algae production is actually a major hurdle for commercialization. And finally, personally think the wastewater treatment and the aquaculture applications are the future of using algae as a circular economy platform. Okay, this is my collaborators and the fundings. Thank you very much. Sorry about the time. And okay, and we'll discuss later. And let's go to the next presentation will be from Professor Vincentis Surya Komia Adi from National Zhongshan University. He was going to talk about Indonesia aspect for the circular economy. So let's welcome Professor Adi.
All right. Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I would like to present a bit about our Indonesian government's perspective on the circular economy. And we will explain about the policy, the government policy, and how the we do the circular economy in Indonesia, and respectively in agriculture team. Now we have these outlines. First, I would like to explain about the concept of circular economy and how we develop the planning on introducing the circular economy in Indonesia markets. And we talk more about these circular economy in agriculture, waste management, and industrial sector, which is all in line with these productions line of these agriculture products. And we talk about the implementation of circular economy in Indonesia and some conclusions. So yeah, for circular economy, we want to move forward from our traditional linear economy where we want to make and then produce and then we just put it into waste, but we want to be more responsible in the consumptions and also productions. And of course, by doing so, because this is a national scale of project, so we have a lot of stakeholders. We need to work with the governments, private and industrial sectors, NGOs, communities, international and multinational institutions, like what my colleagues, Dr. Ahmad Aditya, said that the Indonesian governments are welcoming the international collaborators on working on these hand in hand in this circular economy. And we try to achieve the resource efficiency. We want to also, of course, we want to reduce the waste and pollutions because it's a big problem in our country, and we want to redefine how we grow exponentially through this circular economy. And we also, at the same time, improve the social benefit. And how we do this circular economy, first, we want to understand the current situation of Indonesia. So Indonesia is, because of the policy reforms, we expand quickly and we have a lot of workforce. We do have a strong growth because we have a lot of consumptions, and because of that, we can achieve a significant economy and social development in the recent years. And we record a steady economic growth. Because of that, we need a lot of efforts on maintaining this kind of growth. And this is our economic growth trend that you can see where we have a steady somewhere roughly about 5% each year, but we are declining down because of the COVID-19 in the recent time, but still we try to maintain this growth steadily so that there is no big fluctuations in the Indonesian markets. And we strengthen our human capital and we reduce our poverty rates more than half. So we have now above about 10%. And we try to have this fiscal prudence where we want to maintain a low debt burden. So that's why we won't be had a lot of difficulties on getting the debt to be paid. And then we are eager to use technology. So like Dr. Chang's mentioned about these algae, microalgae technologies, if we can use those technology in our country, we would like to do so. And because of this internet penetrations, it's kind of easy to reach people. And then it's easy to educate people in Indonesia. And this is the most important part. We recently introduced the so-called omnibus law. This is the the law that is introduced in the October of 2020. So that's why we want to move fast, and we want to use this kind of a policy, this kind of law, so that the circular economy can be brought down to Indonesia. And this is like the most comprehensive economic reform. And then there are 5 initiatives. We want to develop a dynamic and hardworking workforce, and we want to develop the industry cooperation and technology. This is important. And then we want to continue the infrastructure development and simplify the regulations, continue the government reforms by streamlining bureaucracy and pushing the economic transformation. So we are welcoming, we are moving, we are changing fast. And on circular economy itself, we have the so-called the green RPGMN. This is our medium-term plan from 2020 to 2024. This is the government's plan on implementing this circular economy policy. And we always try to develop the so-called the low carbon developments. And then we want to support this the SDG number 12. This is the responsible consumption and productions. And we do have the Indonesian vision in 2045. This is try to get a more green Indonesia, a more active Indonesia, and more competitive Indonesia based on this circular economy policy. And by doing so, in agricultural sector, which is the upstream of our industry, we want to reduce input of, but we still can produce the same level of scale. And then by having that, we want to try to close and recycle the nutrient loops. And of course, like Professor Chang said, if we can go through with this microalgae technology, we can close this kind of nutrient loops and try to reduce and recycle waste, which is obvious. We have a lot of agricultural waste, and so we want to have these processed byproducts. So our byproducts, agricultural byproducts, should be processed, and this is all already regulated in our recent law. And also at the same time, the Ministry of Environment try to reduce the carbon emissions and try to also join the Paris Agreement, Kyoto Protocol, etc. And we understand it should be a nature inclusive. So we want to incorporate the consideration of nature, and we share the data on waste. By having that data, all of the industry in Indonesia can get a more understanding on where we can use these waste to be used efficiently. And this is the old waste management that we have. Previously, we from the source, we only care about this user interface where you put your wastes and do the collections, and then we have the intermediate treatment facilities, and we care about the transport. But in the end, we do the landfill, which is not a good idea. So we want to work more with these waste management where it can give our national economic benefits, social benefits, and environmental benefits. And by using this kind of a simple strategy, composting, waste to energy, and why we still on this step, we want to make a prudent strategy, a solid strategy, but it is doable by all of our Indonesian nationals. So by doing the composting, we supporting the agriculture industry by closing the nutrient loops. And for the industry itself, we can use the waste to energy technology, and so that we can have a more closing the loop of the energy supply. And we also use this so-called the refuse-derived fuel, and this is developing fuel from wastes. So incinerating using gasification to produce more environment-friendly energy supply. And as we can see, we have the agriculture part as the upstream, and then in the midstream we have the this kind of technology. But in the industrial sector, which is the downstream part where we want to connect with the consumers, we also use this product redesigns. We use this new recyclable material on the package. try to improve quality, improve the customer care. So we were also care about these the downstream industry, but it should be supported by the regulations, by the government, by the economic platform. That's why we introduced the previous omnibus law, so that all of these related parties can be working together to achieve the same goal, the circular economy policy. And that's why we want to move forward, but we need to educate the Indonesian national. We need to educate the people. That's why we try to first change our mindsets, and we raise the awareness of the circular economy to the people by introducing these kind of internet penetrations, educating people so that they know that circular economy is important. We educate people by using the capacity buildings, and also we will ask the stakeholder commitments that they are committing to do the circular economy policy. And by doing so, we have all these parties working together. And as we can see, how do we start? We want to start with easy and simple, and that's why you can see the simple composting, simple incineration, simple gasification. But this is the first step towards the bigger approach on circular economy. And by having this kind of approach, simple, steady, we also developing the more integrative approach of the regulations, and also the support by the governments, also support by international collaborations. We can move forward to the more complex and more complete circular economy platform in Indonesia. And of course, there's a lot of things to do. We have a lot of challenges. First, we have done the planning. We also introduced a new policy, a more rigorous regulations, and we developed the institutional framework, like what my first colleague said from Ministry of Educations about this the innovation acceleration team. And by having this kind of organizations, we are helping the industry and also the academia working together towards this circular economy. And finance itself, we also try to seek for new investments. We are trying to seek more financial support from the international collaborators. And after that, we also want to incorporate the new operational technology, like what Dr. Tang mentioned about this microalgae technology. This is a very valuable to the industry, and make sure that the stakeholders are committed and are aware that the circular economy should be done properly. And of course, having these kind of strategy, we also faced with these some kind of 5 level of developments. So we want to work with this digital economy, and by doing so, we can easily to achieve the the capacity buildings of the people, and we want to enable the regional and enterprise growth, and we want to rebalance the supply chains, and we want to develop the future-proof labor force, and then also building the climate change resilience. And we want to show you that these are some statistics, some numbers. By having this employment growth, we have to add 17 million workforce. We need more jobs, but all our concentrated in informal sectors. And because of the economic slowdown, we have this pressure to generate large-scale employment opportunities. And we have the climate change problems. And we want to point out that 29% are in the agriculture industry. So this is a very important to work with this agriculture sector. And then we also need to have this institutional maturity. That's why we introduced this kind of omnibus law so that we can go forward fast. And the conclusion is that we want to implement the circular economy seriously, and we try to synchronize all the stakeholders, and we develop the circular economy implementation plan, and we use the circular economy as a tools to achieve our SDGs targets, and then we want to optimize alternative available fundings to finance these projects. So by doing so, that's all from me, and thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ali. Yeah. So let's move to the third speech from 赖莹莹处长，行政院环保署废弃物管理处。
Okay. Good morning, everyone. First of all, please accept my apology. I'm not Lai Ying. I'm not Director General Lai Ying, because Lai Ying has a very urgent meeting this morning. So she assigned me to share the next 15 minutes with you. And this is the topic today is status and policy of circular economy in Taiwan. So this is my outline. I'm going to deliver the speech according to introduction, strategies and goals, and case study and conclusion. So first of all, I want to share the circumstances of circular economy in this world. Okay, according to the Global Resource Outlook, since 1970, the global population has doubled, and the GDP has grown 4 times, and the total amount of resource used worldwide has grown over 3 times. So based on these trend, by 2050, the amount of the resource used worldwide will be continue to double and compared to the current use. So this is a very terrible trend. As you can see, it's just keep going up. And what about Taiwan? Taiwan is everybody knows that Taiwan is a tiny little island, and we have a problem of deficiency of resources. So we got almost 80% of materials in Taiwan are imported. And as you can see that fossil fuels and metals are almost 100% imported. So that is why circular economy is so important in Taiwan. And in 2019, approximately 329 million tons of materials are used in Taiwan. And if we exclude those exported again, we have 251 million tons of materials are domestically consumed in Taiwan. So let's do the math. If we just calculate for per capita, average number is about 10.62 tons consumed per capita annually. So for these, for the DMC per capita, I just mentioned the number, you can see that actually Taiwan did a not bad job. You know, we can compare to the EU, we can see that we are pretty close to Belgium, and we did a bad job, I think. So we keep enriching our database, to make sure that we are on the right way. And by using those data, we can find out that we can calculate the number of our recycling rate or process rate and export rate. And this is the number of 2019. More specifically, let's go straight into the strategies and goals. We come up with a project promoting circular economy through 4 directions, and the project is called the Resource Recycling and Reuse Promotion Plan. The year is about it's during 2019 and 2020. And what is 4 directions? First, it's the production, and the second one is consumption and waste management, and promoting the market for secondary raw materials. And 4 directions got its own 3 strategies. And strategies is shown on this slide. And because of the limited time, I'm not going to read it one by one, but you're really welcome if you want any discussion with me after the meeting. So we, for those strategies, we set 4 indicators to make sure that we are on the right way. So for production, we have resource productivity, and consumption, we have DMC per capita, just like we mentioned before. And waste management, we have incineration and landfill reduction rate. And secondary raw materials, we have the cyclical rate. And these are the goal values. And these are what we have done in 2019. As you can see that the waste management part is minus and is not good. But we got reasons because we modified our Waste Disposal Act in 2017. So there is some definition differences in 2017. But because we set this goal in before this, so this means we are going to correct it in our next stage. So we want to increase the quality of those index calculation. So we just from 2013, we begin to collect the data from different ministries. For example, we got agricultural annual status report and energy balances and different ministries. And we use the inter-industry analysis to and build this system called the resource circulation analysis system. And this system is what we used to calculate our national index, estimate the calculated index. And we're going to use it to draw the material flow of our country. And it is our hope that with these big data in the future, maybe we can even stimulate the flow of our materials. It is our dream, and I think it's gonna happen. So we're going straight into the, this is how we promote our circular economy from this cyclical resource management framework. We just divided all the materials into four categories. And first is organic bioresources and organic chemical resources and metals and non-metals. And it is our goal that we can maximize the part of recycling and minimize the waste treatment part, just like the traditional incineration and landfill. And for this slide, I think it needs some kind of imagination. Just imagine that our society is just like human body, and our blood is running over the entire body, right? If there is a blood begin with a very small vein, and then get into a bigger vein, and then come back to heart, and our heart a pump, and then we'll go into the arterial vein, and the arterial will spread everything again throughout into our body. So circular economy in our society is just like the same logic. So the waste disposal plant is just like vein industry, and manufacturer is just like arterial industry. So what we government are going to do, what we need to do, our job, our orientation is, and we should set standard of process, and we should set quality certification, and we should formulate a guideline. And what is going to happen? Our materials is just like our blood. So if we just set all these formulations, all these guidelines, and our waste disposal plant, they are going to they have the act to follow. Just take example, just like our waste plastic and our inorganic aggregates, and through all these regulations, our manufacturers are going to be willing to use all these things, just like our arterial in our body. these industries are going to pump into the entire society, and the materials are going to be used again, and circular economy is going to be happen in Taiwan. So this is what we are, how we plan to do this. So I'm going to have some examples for you. Case study. So first of all is for the circularization of bioresources. So because of the limited time, some information that's just shown in the slide, I'm going to just pick some part of it. So we have make inventory for the feasible methods for circulate the bioresources, and to make more possibilities, we have put our budget on developing the technology of, for example, fertilization and power gasification, power generation. So we'll keep moving on it. And I think I want to spend more time on plastic part because it's very important and very in Taiwan is really important. So this is a framework of Taiwanese circular economy for plastic. There are four policies ways. First is the green design and the source reductions and promotion of recycling and the circulation. And the first part, we set the database just like we mentioned before, the concerned materials products and promote the easily recycling products. And for the source reduction, we're guided by laws. For example, we have come up we banned the single-use plastic straw for the customers eating inside just last year. So we just guided by laws that make the people, or our citizens, to make use to the new way of life. And we begin to develop innovative business models, and we expand the driving forces to push the industries to follow. And for promotion of recycling, we keep increasing our articles announced for recycling and enhance the convenience and incentives mechanisms and improve recycling infrastructures. Of course, we have to, everyone have our own infrastructures that the blood can just go through the vein, right? Just like I have an example before. So, and for the industry's voluntary recycling, for this stage, we just we promote these kind of policies for the voluntary industry first. So for the circulation, we build in certification and verification. I think it's very important for certification and verification because if manufacturers will be willing to use if it is good, and introduce innovation technologies to promote easy to cycle products and create the recycled material market. Okay, I want to take this part a little example. Actually, there are two pilot projects have already begun this year, and the first one is recycling box for online shopping. And the second one is the rental tableware for food delivery. For the online shopping, everybody knows that we buy things online, and we just get a box and our product inside, and we just unwrap the box and unwrap the items, and those things I just throw it away. We just receive the box less than maybe 10 minutes, and we just unwrap it and throw it away. So we think maybe we can just circulate those boxes, those wraps, those things we use for wraps. So how can we promote this? We combine online shopping platform, for example, PC Home or mobile, or we got, and in the post office, and a third party who is supplied recycling bags, and to replace those single-use packaging with reusable packaging materials. And for the rental tablewares, it's just like these days we got the way of our buying things are very different, right? So we can see that we just cooperate with Foodpanda and the food suppliers, and the delivery phone and eco-friendly tableware suppliers, and this is what the model we built. And maybe I can have a little introduce about this. So, for example, for this, the food delivery just go through the consumer, and the consumer receive and enjoy it. And if the consumers can return back those tablewares, and the suppliers was washed and sterilized again, and then go back to the restaurants, and restaurants just contain those things again, and the delivery go back to the consumers. So, how do you think the most important part in this model is consumer is the most important, right? Because we have to, if consumers can go back, can just return those containers, the models will move on. So this is our policies for plastic secondary raw materials, and our goal is by 2025, our containers are made of 25% of secondary raw materials, and it is actually have already begun. So, time is almost here. So today is the new energy conference, right? So Taiwan EPA has formulated the technology guidelines and the quality specification for SRF, which is solid recovery fuels, the recovery fuel production. And the SRF manufacture plant should determine the raw materials and manufacturing process for SRF products according to the user's requirements. This is very important. And we also have a basic understanding for the construction, the flow of construction resources. And as you can see that recycled, nowadays, recycled resources have mostly been used for backfilling, but we are going to have further improvement. So this is a blueprint of circular construction. We have different policies for different stages. And for example, products and design, construction, usage, and demolition, investment, waste treatment, and recycling. We got different kind of policies. Okay, everybody just take a reference, and let's go to the inorganic aggregates part. There are so many kinds of organic aggregates in Taiwan, but nowadays we are focused on these materials. And now we have three methods for inorganic aggregates. The first one is the local recycling and reusing. And there are the major ways to see the CLSN for the city. And the second one is co-processing in cement kiln. And which is we have, for example, we modified the CNS regulations, and the coordination with established communication platform, because the most important thing is that our citizen can accept that we use those things to rebuild. And for the materials, and we use for the aggregates to materials for maritime constructions. And this part is for final sink. Okay, but for the conclusion, we will keep building our material flows and database through our resource circulation analysis systems and promote relevant strategies and policy according to our resource recycling and reuse promotion plan. And we develop network, just like the network between industries, academia, and government by the integration of different systems, increasing the circularity of materials and provide necessary incentives for innovations. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. And I'll move to the final speech of this section. It will be Professor Zhang Kunda, 成功大学资工系. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kunda Zhang from National Cheng Kung University. Today I will talk about our recent project on AI and big data in the utility application. My title is called Quality of Life as a Service in utility data economy. As digital technology move very quickly soon, in nowadays, in addition to increase the percentage of renewable energy, we also know that the smart grid and smart meters will be deployed and upgrade very soon. It is a clear path, but what will be the next stage? As reviewed by Tokyo Electricity Power Company, we know they say the energy industry faces 5 challenges, include regulation, decentralization, decoupling, digitalization, and depopulation. We know in Taiwan is also similar situation. So they review a new project we call Utility 3.0. That will be the target before 2050. And they hoped the electricity company can be transformed into the integration of energy system and utility and CT infrastructure. And a very important part is digital data platform. But the future, we can collect a lot of data. But what is more important is how to use data and create new business model. That's still not clear and still needs a lot of exploration between research and industry cooperation. So today I will talk about my recent cooperation with Taipei in a project in Sarun. So let me quickly introduce the Taiwan top project, Sarun Green Energy City. The project is to build a new city, smart cities around Tainan high-speed rail station. So the city is try to explore a lot of new technology, especially the how to use the renewable energy in our life. So in this project, in this city, a BOT project that focus on the CMS, Community Energy Management System, or we call about Virtual Power Plant VPP project, is the target of Taipei. But the BOT project is still on the progress now. It's not decided yet. But I am working with Taipei to in a project how to try to propose new smart meters and how to explore the data, the business of data, how to the electricity company can use the data to create energy. But the first part, we need to try to study the Japan new smart meters can be successful deployed in Taiwan. So we co-work with E-Trees in Sarun and try to deploy the Japan smart meters. The idea of a smart meter is to use a wide sum transmission to help have seven demo house, and the data will be collected and hub into one house, the gateway in one house, and you use LTE to transmit to send the data to the cloud. And the frequencies per minute. The electricity data is smart meter data is per minute, and we build a cloud that can use to control the appliance use Ethernet light protocol and follow the electricity company the DR program can use OpenADR program to control those appliance. And so we now have deploy a system and have to have same system for TEPO and the E-Trees and can control the appliance in the house. So now we are study how can we accommodate with Taipower DR program and to successful control the electricity consumption now. But the most important part is not just how can we successful match the goal of DR. TEPO, the goal of TEPO is try to understand when one day we have a lot of data, but when we have a lot of data, what will be the business model, how to use those data. And so we in this project we have correct with a joint metering as a basis, include smart meter and gas meter and water meter. They have digitalized, and the data can have appliance information, sensor information are correct together. We have built a cloud system, but what will be the next phase? They consider to provide as API integration with third-party live service, other third-party live service. Yeah, not just use the data, not just used in electricity industry, but also can be integrated with idea from other vendors, such as logistic vendors, the healthcare vendors, and home security vendors. That's how to explore the new business strategy. So let me quickly introduce some project of our we call it QoL, quality of life service. Yeah, so we have tried to build in the future, electricity company can provide based on the Internet of Energy idea. They can construct a data platform and data service that can construct a smart city and community and smart home ecosystem. Because we can use energy that be used in home and energy and community and city. So the data flow is very good to form the ecosystem. But how to explore the best strategy is still have many discussion. We are now on some project of in POC stage. So let me quickly show some interesting project with Japan company. The first one we called water leakage detection. This is not a very difficult challenge. Digital technology, difficult technology, because we can have very easy to get a acceptable accuracy. But the idea is how to find the really buyer. Who is the API buyer? In this project, the insurance, home insurance company is a buyer. Because especially in Japan, the water damage is cost a lot, expensive, have a expensive cost for the all house. Especially some are built houses very old and have no people live in the house. But the home house insurance company have find the situation of water damage usually is very when he is late, the damage will cause a lot. So how to, as soon as possible, to identify the situation is what they concern. So the system, because we have a joint metering, so we have also have the water data, and the data, the frequency also per minute, and we will try to figure out if house usage, the water usage have patterns of water leakage. If it happens, we will send a message to the insurance company or to the users by night or any other messenger, and to notify that maybe have a situation happens, and they will try to figure out and if they can find this, it can be fixed as soon as possible. That will save their cost very effectively. So this is a project now we in simulator in Sarum, but soon in the next year we will go back to Japan and to have a larger scale POC. And we also have other project with Japan company. We know that the DR programs have is try to cut the energy, the electricity consumption, but most algorithm you just try to turn off the AC, but the air conditioner will be turned off. We know that our quality, our comfortable life will be sacrificed. So how to guarantee this very should have help from AI algorithm to adapt, control the scheduling. That's what we are doing now and can be deployed in Sarum. In the last part, I will try to propose a very interesting project to use a coupon for the DR program. Because we know that incentive to encourage user join the DR program is generally not enough. Because we only got a few rewards and must turn off our air conditioner or any appliance. That will not very convenient. But if we can really understand the user's desire, for example, if we know a user like coffee or the users is a housekeeper, they have interest to get a coupon from supermarket. Once we find the forecast the electricity peak, we can send their desired coupons and go outside, and of course they will turn off their appliance and go outside to make the electricity more stable, and the supermarket will have increased their revenue, and user really got what they desire product or any they love have an interest in project. So we also co-work with the project is also co-work with a Taipei company and using in dorm with 60 single ladies, and our pre-study results show that more than half people love to join the project if they really got the interest in the coupon. Just some people, how can we use AI technology to know if a user really love to drink coffee or they have interest to have go outside to have dinner with their friend, when and how to encourage them to go out, how much coupon discounts is not. This is our project, and the pre-study show that he is a very promising directions for the DR to be achieved by this strategy. Okay, because the time limit, I just quickly showed some projects that we call quality of life, because quality of life service, we know data can be collected as a big data way, so we have a lot of big data, but I think most companies were more interested in how to use those data to create a new business. So the way we still need to explore how to have ecosystem with other third-party project to create new service that can really help our life, users' life. So in the future, we know that the electricity company not just focus on electricity, stable or their electricity flow. We also need to care about data, and maybe we need to care about the payment system that be integrated together. So we would like to do a lot project in Sarum now, and have some not just co-work with Taipei, we'll also have some company in Taiwan. We will deploy, we'll try to explore the new way in this area, and hope to have more share in the future soon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So this will conclude this section. So we should have some time for discussion, right? 要休息啊？哦 ，Okay, so maybe do we need to just
We have 5 speakers on session 1, right?
Yeah.
How about the 5 speakers on the stage?
Oh, okay.
With question and answer time.
5 minutes.
Right. Please. 我们有5位讲师，那我们接下来进行这个 Q&A 的时间。
有一位已经走了。
Sorry。
有一位已经走了。
哦 ，OK， 好。好，老师交给您，看是不是大家有什么问题。
OK， 好像都是讲中文的现在。
不过网络上面还是可能会有外国朋友。
Okay. So I think because of time, we are 20 minutes behind. So I think we have only 5 minutes discussion. And, okay, please. Can you use your microphone?
Because we know the smart cities have a lot of the big data, and how the big data is transferred to, how to keep the big data to the chips. Where is the chips come from, or who will build the chip for the smart cities? Thank you.
I think the question. So I use Chinese. Okay. 我觉得那个 smart city 这些 data 最大的问题在于说 owner 主要是 ownership 的到底是谁在弄，而且这个确实是个 big challenge 哈 ownership 包含到底是user 哈还是electricity company or any other company but 我们现在的一些做法是希望得到使用者的授权。好，所以在这个 APP 上面，其实现在有很多的做法是透过一些 AI service 的方式 ，gateway 它其实是收 data， 这一些是把 data 就是一个 gateway， 那它有一个 API， 那你当然要先介绍你的就是 application 的优缺点哈，然后使用者去授权，因为它是最 end user， 其实他同意，其实都很容易在上层就比较容易同意哈。那他如果不同意，那我们现在也在探讨一些问题，是比较像是说，如果有部分人同意 share， 尤其现在有 GDPR 很多这些需求， 那有一些人肯 share， 有一些人不肯 share， 那你这个 application 能不能也还是 OK？ 好，所以我觉得 data 的 issue 是很多元的哈。那所以这一些为什么需要被探讨？就是有一些可行，但是它可能找不出商业模式。好，那我们还是需要去讨论。好，那有一些没有先做 POC， 也找不到，还到底什么可以或不可以啊？那是my answer。
谢谢。Any more questions for the speakers? Please.
My name is Gordon Yu. This question is toward the EPA. Look like the EPA's waste utilization focusing on SRF. And SRF still is a form of incineration. You know, people call that waste to energy, but it's a change form only. Burning in incinerator changed to burning in boilers. So do you consider to using a more advanced recycling technique like a chemical recycling, which is popular in the USA and Europe right now? Thank you.
Please allow me to answer in Chinese too. 首先是说，我们现在这个 SRF 的这个现在在起步阶段，环保署我们定了这样子的多元的这些，所以我们针对这个 SRF 的品质去定它的规范。那在这些规范定出来之后呢，这个制造 SRF 的厂商，他们先行去针对这些 SRF 的规范，然后再去依循这个使用者厂商的需求，然后去挑选目前还可以被接受的，比如说可燃性一般是的废弃物，来作为这个燃料制作的原料。那这个厂商我们后续会去辅导这些厂商使用这些 SRF 的时候，如果说他们有使用这些东西，这些 SRF 其实会渐渐的我们会把它视为非废弃物的情况，那它等于是说它是使用另外一种燃料。那如果是以另外一种燃料的话，这些厂商可能就不需要去再走这些废弃物的程序。那这是未来的愿景。那目前在这个初步的规范出来之后呢，这是一步一步慢慢来。那您刚刚提到说这个会不会再挑选到？我是有听到说您是说这个会挑选，比如说一些化学物质吗？还是说一些部分
I think the chemical recycling means either you can recycle plastic and make it to plastic as a closed loop, or make it to different form of chemical like a fuel, like diesel or gasoline, which is getting more and more popular, which is probably the only way to solve mixed plastic without sorting and without cleaning.
I think it's part of where we can develop same time. We can 就是说不，中英文夹杂，就是说其实在这个我们同时也会去发展这些塑胶的分类啊，这样子的一个规范。那如果说这个塑胶原料它在这个可以被分得干净的情况下，它当然就是走 material 的 recycle。那这算是说，如果说这些 material 它是混杂的，或者说我们举清洁队来说好了，我们清洁队如果它收集到的 plastic material 它是混在一起的，或者是说是一些比较脏污的一些塑胶的话，它可能在 sorting 跟这个整个 recycle 回来到 material 阶段的时候，它可能会花费更多的这个资源，所以我们就会往 fuel 的这个方向去发展。那它就是走入到我们刚刚提到这个 SRF 的这个厂，它去制造这个 SRF 走入燃料的部分。那但是我们同时也会去发展塑胶的这个在源头，如果它是干净的话，它这样子的分类可以分得清楚，然后我们可以把它个别在适才适所去使用。那当然在这个部分我们会同步的也一样发展这个sorting的部分，在这个material 的运用也是一样同步并进的。谢谢。
Last question, last one, yeah, please.
那个国语啊，用中。那张教授刚刚讲那个绿藻的那个生殖嘛，哈，因为我公司有做过这个 CO2 的 capture 的这个 project，which 的Nuclear Institute， 我们做过这个，但是我们了解那个绿藻哈，所有的这个 investment 哈，那它怎么样得到这个 balance？ 因为 因为 financial 的 problem is very important， 所以我们我是一个业界者嘛，那我们最终所有的 concern 就是要这个投资那个 feedback， 就是我想要那个 repay from 这个绿藻嘛哈，所以那我不晓得这个张院长你在这方面的怎么的考虑？谢谢。
谢谢，这个是很大的 issue， 就是钱，就是那个什么 economical feasibility。那我想，所以我的 conclusion 最后一个就是说，未来藻类的方向在 circular economy 的方向，就是在 wastewater treatment 跟那个一些后续的像水产养殖啊、动物饲料这些的应用，因为这是最便宜的，而且没有那么大量，像 CO2 这样，所以未来可能会往这个方向。对，谢谢。I think the time is up. So if we have any question to the speakers this morning, then please come to the specific speaker and then have a chat with them during the lunchtime. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
谢谢大家呢。我们今天第一场的这个研讨会呢，已经圆满成功了。接下来是午餐时间。我们今天下午的另外一场在1点钟会进行，也请大家帮我们留意一下时间。那接下来呢，用餐的过程当中，也请这个工作人员帮我们引导，谢谢。好，那么跟各位说明一下，这个 Paneltech US 美国公司呢是在5楼，那其余的这个来宾，我也请大家先到1楼。好，到1楼领便当之后呢，请大家到3楼用餐。那只要是您是 speaker 今天讲者的部分呢，也请您在1楼的贵宾室来用餐。我们请工作人员帮我们引导，谢谢大家。今天下午1点钟会再进行另外一场研讨会。